I realized something about pain. Sometimes it doesn't end when the moment ends. Sometimes it stays in your body long after everyone else has moved on. My first birth taught me that. It was during COVID and my husband was working away from home, so most of my pregnancy I was just me by myself. We saw each other on some weekends and holidays. But the everyday parts, the nausea, the fear, the appointments, that was me all along. And I was very, very sick. For 5 months, I could barely eat. The smell of onions frying in a pan would send me running to the bathroom. Tomatoes, chicken, even just the thought of certain foods made my stomach turn. I didn't eat chicken again until my daughter was like 3 months old. That's how strong the association was. And bananas were the only thing that stayed down. To this day, when I see bananas piled up in a supermarket, I remember that vision of myself. Exhausted, hungry, forcing myself to chew. And my legs. My legs hurt in a way I still struggle to explain. Not sore like after exercise, it was like a deep throbbing ache inside the bones. I used to ask someone to actually press hard or hit them just so the pain could shift into something else. That was my pregnancy. Lonely, long, and heavy. I had to be induced for labor, and by that time I was already tired. I had not been eating properly the whole day, so when the labor started, I didn't feel strong. I felt empty. The contractions came and went. They were painful, yes, but I was focused. I kept thinking, just get through this part. Once the baby is here, the hard part is over. Labor lasted about 6 hours and then she was born. And for a few minutes, everything else faded. There she was, my baby girl, crying. It felt real. But then the doctor said I had a 3rd-degree tear. I remember hearing the words but not fully understanding what they meant. They gave me something to numb the area, but because of other medications I had already received, they couldn't give much more. So when the stitching began, I felt it. Not just pressure. Pain. I could feel the needle piercing through skin that had just torn open. I could feel the pulling of the thread. It was slow, careful, but very painful. The room was quiet except for the sound of instruments and the other doctors speaking softly to the nurse. I kept thinking, this cannot be happening. I already gave birth. Why does it still hurt this much? It went on for nearly 1 to 2 hours. Full hour of lying there after delivery. Legs still numb from exhaustion, but not numb enough from pain. Just when I thought it was finally over, one of the nurses began counting the sponges they had used, the gauze they insert to absorb blood. She counted once, then again, and her voice changed. One was missing. I remember the shift in the room. It wasn't loud, but it was serious. They couldn't leave it inside me. If they did, it could cause an infection. So she told me gently that she needed to check. There I was, freshly stitched, swollen, already shaking from everything my body had been through. And she had to put her hand inside me to find it. I cannot fully describe that pain. It wasn't just physical. It was layered. It was the rawness of fresh stitches, the tenderness of torn skin, the humiliation of being so exposed, and the fear of something being wrong. She searched, and then she found it. It was inside me. After that, they told me to stand up so that they could move me. I remember placing my feet on the floor, but the room felt too bright, too loud. My ears started ringing, like when you stand up too fast, but heavier. I told them I didn't feel okay, and they told me to close my eyes. And I did. The next thing I remember is hearing voices from far away. My body felt light and heavy at the same time. When I opened my eyes, they were lifting me into a wheelchair. For a split second, it honestly felt like I'd left my body and came back. That night, a nurse stayed in my room, not casually, not routinely. She was watching me, checking on me. There had been too much blood loss and too much trauma. 3 hours later, I called my husband. "I'm alive," I told him. That's what came out first. Not "she's beautiful," not "you're a father." I'm alive. And healing didn't end there. They told me to sit in cold water so the stitches would heal properly. Everyone said it would sting. That the sting meant it was working. But for 2 days, I felt nothing. My sister looked at the stitches and said to me, "Nah, this isn't right." So instead of sitting in a bowl, she laid me down and poured the salt water directly over the wound. I screamed. The kind of scream that doesn't come from your throat, that one that comes from somewhere deep in your stomach. People could hear me from the other room. It burnt like fire. But after a few days, it started drying. The swelling went down, and the outside began to look like it was healing. And that is the strange thing about trauma. From the outside, everything looked fine. I could walk again. I could sit slowly. I could hold my baby and smile for pictures. But inside, my body remembered. Years later, when I found out I was pregnant again, people asked, "Are you scared of labor?" I would smile because it wasn't labor I was afraid of. It was the stitching, the sponge. It was the ringing in my ears before everything went black. Sometimes the body keeps memories the mind tries to minimize. And I didn't realize how much of that first birth I was still carrying until I had to prepare to do it all over again. Some of us walked out of that room with babies in our arms, and some of us, our babies never made it. Stories in our bodies that no one ever asked about, that no one saw. This child is my life. This child is my heart beating outside of my body. This child is my everything.